Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of What's Hot with Sea of Tranquility. I'm your host Pete Pardo, publisher and CEO of SOT. Today is Monday, the 30th of July. Can you believe July is basically just about done? I know I've said this the last couple of weeks, but the summer's just flying by. July, it seems like this July has been the fastest month in the history of my life. Seriously, it seemed like yesterday was July 4th. We're like, yes, July is here, awesome. And just like that, it's basically August almost already. So we've got a very short show for you today. I know I mentioned, I think on our last episode or the one before that, we talked about how MoonJune Records has been pumping out a lot of really, really strong releases as of late. And in fact, we talked about the Mark Wingfield album last time around. So today we've got two more for you. One studio, one live. The first is from Indonesian keyboard player, specifically pianist on this album, Dwiki Dharmawan. Hope I've said his name correctly. Rumah Batu is the name of his latest release. Again, piano virtuoso. He's got a very good cast on here with him. Let me see if I can read some of this off to you. So he's got, with him on this new album of all new compositions, he's got Nguyen Lee on electric guitar and soundscapes. He's got Carls Benevent on bass guitar, electric bass guitar. He's got Yaron Stavi on upright bass, also appeared on the Mark Wingfield album. He's also got Asaf Sirkus on drums, also on that excellent Mark Wingfield album, as well as a few special guests on vocals, flute, percussion, so on and so forth. I'm not going to try and say their names because I'm sure I'm going to mispronounce them. Specifically, Sayat on suling flute and vocals on a couple tracks. Very notable. The suling flute appears on quite a lot of this album. A very, very cool mix of like ethnic Indonesian music, kind of world music, as well as some contemporary jazz and some classic jazz fusion, like 70s flavored jazz fusion. Really, really nice piano work. The piano and the flute are gorgeous throughout the entire album. Nguyen Lee drops in some pretty earth-shattering electric guitar solos from time to time. You'll hear little bits of Holdsworth and Gambale in some of his playing here. Really fiery solos he throws in on occasion. I really like the kind of the double bass combo. Kind of nice. He got like electric bass and upright bass, acoustic bass. Really, really cool. And of course, Mr. Sirkus is dynamite on drums here as well. A couple of tunes, like I said, do have vocals. I believe they're sung in the native Indonesian tongue. They're very cool, very nice, very calming sounding. Some of the tunes are kind of fiery, some are more ethereal and ethnic sounding. A really, really nice album. About 3 or 4 tunes have a very 70s fusion feel to them, which I really dig a lot. Overall, it's just a really, really pleasing, enjoyable listen. Calming, exciting. The musicianship is always top-notch. I think the songwriting is really good. Just a really, really nice listen. A nice kind of different jazz-sounding release from a very, very talented keyboard player and composer in Dwiki Dharmawan. I like this a lot. Another great release from MoonJune. Speaking of MoonJune, all right, because it's a MoonJune show, Dialeto, that crazy trio from Sao Paulo, Brazil, live with David Cross. This is a live album that was recorded, I believe it was a year and a half ago. Actually, a year ago. July, actually almost a year to the day. Check that out. Recorded at Sesc Belenzinho, 22nd of July, 2017, Sao Paulo, Brazil. So we've covered Dialeto before. So they are a trio. Their last album, they did a bunch of renditions of classic Bartók songs, done their own way. So they add their kind of jazz fusion, avant-garde, King Crimson style to the Bela Bartók songs. Really, really cool. It's a great album. So here they do those live, but with special guest and former King Crimson violinist David Cross, and of course covering some Crimson songs. So who's in the band? So we've got Nelson Coelho on guitar and Mellotron guitar, which I believe is his guitar played through amp with the Mellotron effects pedal, if I'm not mistaken. If there is something else, hey, cool. We've got Gabriel Costa on bass guitar and vocals on one track. We've got Fred Barley on drums, vocals on 2 tracks. Of course, they're singing the Crimson stuff. And then, of course, David Cross on violin for the whole second half of the CD. So basically, the first half of the set is the Bartók songs that they are, of course, giving their own renditions. It's fiery, it's fairly heavy. Like I said, a mix of jazz fusion and progressive rock with some avant-garde. Great guitar work on here. I mean, this guy is quite good. And then you've got a bunch of classic Crimson tunes that, of course, David Cross appeared on. So here we've got Exiles, The Talking Drum, Lark's Tongues and Aspic Part 2, and a really good Starless. Really good renditions of these songs as well, too. Robert Fripp and Company would be proud here. And also, thrown in for good measure, a tune called Tank, I'm sorry, which is a David Cross Band original tune that they play on here. Also very cool. Pretty heavy and extremely Crimson-ish, right? So great sounding live album, lots of energy. It's pretty rocking, actually. I dig it. Another stellar release from Leonardo and his MoonJune Records label. So make sure you do not miss those. So if you think I'm going to let you go at 6 minutes, you're wrong. Of course, got to throw in a forgotten favorites today, right? So here, actually, speaking of live albums, I'm going to pull out a live album that somehow I did not talk on my live album shows, and I should have, because it's a great one. And when most people talk of this band, they very rarely mention this live album of theirs. I'm talking about Texas's classic heavy rock band from the 70s, Bloodrock Live. Awesome, great bunch of tunes on here. Check it out. With that, my phone's ringing, so I'm going to get going. But a lot of tunes from the early part of their career. 800 service. It's a junk call. It's a crank call. So we're going to ignore them because I get these calls all the time, as most of you probably do. Anyway, what do you got in here? We got Castle of Thoughts. We got Breach a Leash, Lucky in the Morning, Kool-Aid Kids, DOA, the classic DOA. You Gotta Roll, Cheater, Jessica, and Gotta Find a Way. That's a great tune from their debut. Really great rendition of Breach a Lease on here. It's heavy. It's doomy. And, of course, you got the doom-laden DOA. Just a really kick-ass band. Hard to describe these guys. I always kind of saw them as kind of like a Deep Purple, Uriah Heep meets Grand Funk Railroad type of band. A lot of energy, a lot of grooves, great Hammond organ, kicking guitar work, really good vocals. A really underrated band who were originally from Texas. Released a handful of really strong albums in the early mid-'70s. So if you've never listened to Bloodrock or are a Bloodrock fan and have never heard their live album, it's highly underrated, very good. Go check it out. It's my forgotten favorite of the day. Till next time, this is on the web at www.seatranquility.org. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, of course, we're here on the mighty YouTube. Each and every week, a little bit of a delay, folks, on our Judas Priest History of show that Chris Allen and I are plotting. We've got some other stuff going on that's kind of taking precedent right now, so we're unable to record that one. But we will be doing it over the next week or two, so look for that in the upcoming weeks. Till then, take care. Make sure you check out these MoonJune releases. Dialeto, Dwiki Dharmawan. Check out the Mark Wingfield, too. I'm telling you, great stuff. And we'll see you very soon here on Sea Tranquility. Bye-bye.